Welcome to the Hockey Writers Blackhawks Banter, a weekly show with our top Chicago Blackhawks writing crew, bringing you the latest news, rumors, trades, player grades, game results, and much more. From training camp to the playoffs, from Chelsea Dagger to the Madhouse on Madison, our team covers everything that happens with the Hawks. So get comfortable, grab a beverage. It's time for some Blackhawks Banter. Blackhawks Banter.
Hello, Blackhawks fans, and welcome to episode 70 of Blackhawks Banter, brought to you by the Hockey Writers. I am Gail Kauchak, and I am here today with my partner in crime, Brooke LoFurno. What is the word? What's the good word, Brooke?
Everything's good. We're doing good.
Doing good. All right. You ready to talk some Blackhawks?
Oh, yes, I'm ready.
NHL trade deadline was yesterday. Big day in the hockey world, and of course for the Chicago Blackhawks. But before we get into that and more, I wanted to let you know about the Hockey Writers Sports Betting Guide. This is a brand new source for your daily sports betting odds, lines, props, and futures, as well as some daily fantasy strategies and analysis. So make sure to follow THW Bets on Twitter to get the latest on everything sports betting. So that's something kind of new and exciting the Hockey Writers has going on. That's pretty cool. But let's get into trade talk, because that is really important. Some really important talk today, and digesting everything that went down. So let's start at the very beginning. Obviously, we know that last Friday, Kyle Davidson traded forward Brandon Hagel along with 2022 and a 2024 fourth round picks. He went to the Tampa Bay Lightning in exchange for forwards Taylor, Raddysh, and Boris Katchouk. And then also Tampa Bay's 2023-2024 first round picks. So pretty big haul there. But gosh, Brandon Hagel gone. So what are your thoughts on this, Brooke?
I'm surprised and not really surprised. I think we all knew it was a possibility, especially because we saw reports a few weeks ago that teams were offering first round picks. So you have to think if first round picks are involved, it may happen. But considering that was the biggest move maybe of the deadline for the Blackhawks, that's a little shocking. So, but it sucks to see him go. It does suck to see him go. But I understand the move. You need first round picks to rebuild. There's just no way around it. And they got some pretty good prospects back, which is another big factor because they don't really have a good pipeline of prospects. I know they're anything but proven, but it's still nice to have them on hand. And I trust Yzerman. I know he was drafted them, so I trust his opinion. I think that must be a good sign. But yeah, like I said, it hurts a little bit. He was a good player and he was a Chicago player, but hey, maybe he'll re-sign in a couple years because that's just what Chicago does. They bring back people, so he'll do just fine in Tampa. But yeah, it does hurt, but understandable for the rebuild.
Yeah, never say never. They could always be back, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So many of those retreads. And, it was funny because Kyle Davidson did actually say in his press conference that he wasn't planning on trading Hagel, but he just couldn't pass up the offer. And let's face it, essentially he got 4 players for the price of 1. Now, Brandon Hagel is a known commodity, and he could have very easily been a part of this rebuild. But this is what rebuilding teams do. And we'll talk about it a little bit later in the show. There's 2 players that came over that look like they've got some from the Lightning that look like they have some promise. And you have to, give away some assets for future assets. So 2 first round draft picks, hopefully they can work something out of that, even though it's a couple years away. But we're in it for the long haul here. So
We're here. We're in it.
Fingers crossed that these 4 players can turn into something and hopefully, get that sting of Hagel being gone.
Right.
That bad taste out of our mouths.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. Marc-Andre Fleury. We pretty much knew that Marc-Andre Fleury was going to go, although it went to the very last minute. Monday, conditional second round pick. He went to the Wild. It could become a first round pick if the Minnesota Wild reaches the Western Conference Final and Fleury accounts for at least 4 wins in the first 2 rounds. And it looks like the Blackhawks retain 50% of Marc-Andre Fleury's salary of $7 million, so they retain $3.5 million. Marc-Andre Fleury, we kind of knew it was going to happen. What are you thinking here, Brooke?
Do you know what after last night's it's the longer that saga dragged out, the more I didn't think he was going to be moved. And it didn't have that feeling this morning either. But after the game against Winnipeg, I mean, seriously, I don't know why you wouldn't demand a trade after that. It just seemed like, really, how many more chances? If you need to, you could have a chance, get out of here. But I'm actually happy for him. He gets a chance to win. And I think that's what we all wanted for him. He's in the win now mode. He's a great goalie. He deserved better than what the Blackhawks could give him. So I'm actually happy for him. The conditional second round pick, at first I was kind of pissed about, like, really, this was the best we could get for Fleury, who is a fantastic goaltender. But now that I'm looking at Minnesota's roster and what they did at the deadline, they could be a sleeper team that makes it into the Western Conference Final. They're a pretty strong team now with Fleury in net. So you never know. That actually could be a sneaky good aspect there. So, you know what? I'm okay with it. I'm glad that Fleury is able to go to a good team and he gets a chance at another cup because he deserves it. He was a great professional. I think we're all huge fans of him, and I'll be rooting for him for sure.
Yeah, we pretty much knew that he really didn't have a future, and it just didn't make sense with the Blackhawks. So I'm glad that they were able to get some. Essentially, the Blackhawks got Fleury for nothing, you know. So
Yeah.
to get a return for him is something, and I'm sure we're all going to be rooting for Minnesota now because
Yeah.
they do the potential for that first round pick. So
Yeah.
best of luck to Fleury and go Wild.
Yeah. Do you know what? Out of all the Central Division teams, I'm okay with that. At least it's not the Predators or the Blues or something like that.
I agree. I like the Wild. I could find myself rooting for that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, this one flew kind of under the radar, came at the last minute. Ryan Carpenter to the Calgary Flames for a 2024 fifth round pick. Again, pretty much expected return as well. What do you think?
That trade is kind of a nothing burger in my mind. It's not really like exciting or whatever, but I get the whole notion behind it. If he's going to leave in free agency, you might as well get something for him, even if it is a draft pick that's 2 years down the road. Anything is better than nothing. So I get it. And I think we're big fans of Carpenter too. And his role kind of didn't really fit here anymore with the role he plays. It's better served on a playoff team. So him going to Calgary makes a lot of sense. But yeah, otherwise that return's kind of but you know what? Like I said, anything's better than nothing at this point. The team needs as many assets as they can get. So yeah, good luck to Carpenter too. He'll be a good fit with Calgary, I think.
I actually probably would have made the argument to keep Ryan Carpenter versus Calvin Haan just because cheap, and they could have signed him for cheap again and maybe had him be a bit of a role player. But they felt like they got a decent return for him, which leads me to my next segue here. Calvin Haan did not get traded. As far as we know, I don't think anything's come through, right? So Kyle Davidson in his press conference, here's kind of what he said about the situation. If the value is not met, then you value the player more than anyone else. So we're happy with the players that are here. We value them more than other teams around the league. Clearly, we're happy they're still with the Blackhawks. So they just didn't get the asking price or what they felt was worth for Haan. But $4.5 million, and he's going to walk for nothing probably at the end of the season unless they re-sign him. I mean, that doesn't make any sense for them to re-sign him. So that's kind of a tough call as to, I guess they just didn't feel they could get what they wanted for him. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, that quote actually made me laugh when he said, we obviously value these players more than other teams. That kind of made me laugh because I'm like, okay, well, the reason why we value these players is the reason that we're in this position. I love Calvin Haan. He's not the problem, but it's more like, okay, if there's not really a market for them, then what does that say about them as a player, you know? And like I said, I love Calvin Haan. It's not about that. I think he's been great for us, actually. I'm surprised there wasn't a big market for him unless we're not on the phones. We don't know what they were offered for Haan. If the market was really that low for him, then of course, yeah, keep him. But you're right. It seems like at this point, he seems like he's guaranteed to walk in free agency. And you have to do the Carpenter thing. You have to get something if you can, at least. I mean, but did you see the defenseman that got moved? Nick Leddy.
Right.
Josh Manson. What was that? Lindholm on Anaheim. Like, it seemed like, okay, if those got taken, surely someone would have wanted Haan in my mind. But like I said, we're not on the phones. We don't know what was offered or anything, but interesting. It makes it kind of a little underwhelming, to be honest. I feel like there was a lot more I think he could have done, but again, we don't know the market, so we don't know what was said.
Yeah, it just does seem strange that they couldn't get something for Haan because of all the other defensemen that I don't know. I guess maybe we'll find out more eventually, but that one seems like a bit of a loss. Whereas I would say the other ones, the other trades, were pretty much wins. So
Yeah.
Kyle Davidson and the Blackhawks have that going for him. One more thing on the trade front, Dylan Strome did not get traded. And we all kind of thought that might be a surprise. I'm actually not surprised, and I'm happy that he's still a Blackhawk. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not surprised either. I think his name was more in the rumors towards the start of the season, but towards the trade deadline, his name wasn't even out there at all, except like maybe in passing contests, like oh, maybe the Bruins might like him or so, but nothing like worth looking into. And I think like Scott Powers of The Athletic had mentioned that they might try to move him in the off season, maybe once they kind of figure things out. They don't really expect him to be re-signed is what he said. So maybe they'll be looking more for a better return in the offseason, but I'm kind of not surprised he wasn't moved either. That seemed to be kind of a passing thought as the season went on, but I'm okay with it too.
Yeah, maybe he will get moved in the offseason. I don't know. I think that they've committed to having him be part of the rebuild. I also think that this might be, if Patrick Kane is going to stay in the picture, that this might be a way to kind of appease Patrick Kane. He basically did say that he thought that it might make more sense to keep Strome than to trade him.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting offseason as well to see if next year Patrick Kane and Dylan Strome are still part of
that. Yeah. We're gonna have to have a lot of drinks for that one.
Which leads me to basically our next topic here. We had 3 games this past week, so let's talk a little bit about that. Let's see, the Blackhawks played the Boston Bruins last Tuesday, March 15th, lost 2-1 in overtime. Close game. Blackhawks and the Minnesota Wild Saturday, March 19th, lost 3-1. Again, that was a little bit closer than you thought. It was an empty netter at the end for the Wild. And then Winnipeg Jets on Sunday, 6-4 loss, which was close up until the end as well. So still 3 losses. We're not really around to win games right now, rebuilding. But let's talk a little bit about these last 3 games. Anything that you want to bring up in the way of trends or topics here?
It seems like what I know this has been a problem in the past, but it seems like this past week has been more glaring than usual about the give up in the last few minutes of the game. It seems like maybe they might be in it in the third period, and then all of a sudden they just completely tank again. And I don't really understand where that comes from. And Seth Jones, I appreciate his honesty when he said after the Wild game about how there's been defensive miscommunications towards the end of the game. And he doesn't know why it's happening, but it does. And it's frustrating. And you can see that. It's like you feel like, they might get into overtime and get at least a point. And then all of a sudden they let up a goal with like 3 minutes left. They did it against the Bruins. They did it against the Wild. And I think they did it against Tampa too, if I'm not mistaken. But the point is, it seems to continue to be a problem, and I don't know why it is, because they talk about this being a problem and it doesn't seem to be working. So I don't know if it's more of a mental thing, just because of where the team is at and it's a hard position to be in, or just everyone kind of being out of sorts, which would be understandable. But I noticed that this week especially, that was a bigger problem than usual, even with the empty net. What kind of effort is that with the extra attacker? Like, I don't know what it is, but like I said, it's disappointing, but seems more glaring than usual, even though we've seen it before. This isn't new, but don't like to see it.
It was a tough week, I think, with the trade deadline, and that distraction was on everybody's mind. But it is kind of weird, like you say, it seems like you see like these flashes of brilliance, right? Where Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat and Dylan Strome are like, they got the puck on a string and they're doing their thing, and then like in the same shift, you see Dominic Cooper, not the same shift because, right, they change lines, but Dominic Kubalik is falling down, or Mackenzie Entwistle is, getting all that, or, you just see defensive breakdowns, and it's just like, it's like they're yin and yang, this team is.
Right. Yeah.
But I guess that's what happens when you're not a really good team that has.
Yeah, exactly. Will look great, and then Philip Kurashev will take a tumble the next, and you're like, oh boy, here we go.
And then
this is it.
He scored a goal last game, right?
Yeah, he did. He did. I'm so proud of him for that.
Me too. I like to see him do well.
Me too.
I would just like to talk really quick. Last 2 games, actually, we had some new faces. Tyler Raddysh, basically, he used to play with Strome and DeBrincat in the OHL with the Erie Oilers. He came over from the Lightning. King said basically, he's more of a top 6 kind of guy, is kind of where he's pegging him. And sure enough, he scored a goal, a power play goal on the first unit, and also had an assist on Taze's goal. That was in the Jets game. Looked good in the Wild game as well, about 15 minutes both times. I think that he could be a bit of a diamond in the rough. Pretty excited about Raddysh and how he might fit in. So that's cool. And then Katchouk, I love that first name.
Yeah.
Strong, solid name. Again, let's see. They see him more as a bottom six guy. 12 minutes and 10 minutes, I want to say. A couple different shots on goal. He had some chances in the Wild game and got in a bit of a skirmish. So these new guys are making their mark, and it's only been a couple games. So
Right.
It's kind of nice to see, especially when you know that you lost Hagel for them, but there's two of them.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I would like to talk about Alex Vlasic, new defenseman that signed on. He played actually with Seth Jones against the Wild, about only 6-10 minutes. So he was definitely protected there and didn't play a whole lot. But a little bit more, 754 against the Jets, playing with Riley Stillman on the third pairing. He's big. Oh, he's 6'6", 6'7".
Yeah, he's like 6'7" or something like that. Yeah.
And he's young, and you didn't see anything really glaring stand out. We've talked about that before, that when with a defenseman, if they don't stand out, then that's usually a good thing. So high hopes for Alex Vlasic. So we got 3 new people to keep an eye on, and we're rebuilding. So that's what we're doing, is keeping an eye on.
It's going to be painful, but you know what? There will be some bright spots.
And we have to embrace the new guys and their struggles and their wins.
Yeah, exactly. Growing pains, we'll be there through it all.
Yep, and good contributions so far. So this is good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're about midway through the show. Want to remind you once again, Hockey Writers Sports Betting Guide, a brand new source for your daily sports betting. Make sure to follow THW Bets on Twitter to get the latest on everything sports betting. And then that leads us to our third topic, which I'm kind of excited about. We've done this a little bit before on our crossover shows, but since we're rebuilding mold, I thought that we could kind of just get to know our current Blackhawks a little bit better. Mm-hmm. So I both picked, we're going to do like a guess the Blackhawks segment. Brooke and I both picked 2 players. We did not put this on our outline or anything. We basically just ran it through Matthew, our producer, to make sure that there was no crossover. So we are going to give each other some hints and guess the Blackhawks. So at home, you guys can play this too. I know January, who is one of our regular followers, loves this stuff. Yeah. So let's see how many that she can get and that everybody can get. And you guys can let us know in the comments. Okay, yes. So are you ready to guess that Blackhawk?
I am ready. I'm so ready.
Okay, all right. So he hails from the US of A, specifically Eau Claire, Wisconsin. He played hockey as a Wisconsin Badger in college. Might be enough for you.
Yeah, that is Jake McCabe all day long. I love my Badgers. I love the Wisconsin Badgers.
I kind of knew that you were a big Badgers fan, and so I'm like, I bet you this one's going to be really easy for him. So yeah. Defenseman Jake McCabe played for Buffalo before coming to the Blackhawks, but anyway, that is oh, by the way, he signed for $4 million, and he has a cap hit through 24-25 season. So for the next 3 seasons. Modified no trade clause, so I don't know if he'll be really going anywhere, even though something.
Yeah.
Maybe he should go somewhere, but.
Yeah. Okay. So I got the next. Yes. Okay. You're up, Gail. Again, this might be kind of easy, but maybe not. I don't know. Who is the current Blackhawks player that has a lake named after him? Canadian. Star-studded.
It's not Jonathan Toews?
It is.
It is.
It is, yeah. You're right. Yes. Yes.
So there's a Toews Lake?
Yeah, right in Manitoba in his hometown. I think he got it named after like the second cup, I believe, after they won the second cup. I guess it's kind of more of a remote lake, but hey, to get a lake named after you is pretty cool accomplishment, I would say.
Yeah, that's pretty
cool.
Toews with a lake named after him.
Yeah.
Not just a beach, but a lake.
Yeah, exactly. They went bigger.
Okay, what's my next one for you? All right, I got it. He's a forward prospect who's in his first full season with Blackhawks. He boasts 5 goals and 6 assists for 11 points in his 45 games played, which is too shabby for a bottom 6 forward. Do you know who that might be?
Is it Mackenzie Entwistle?
Yay!
It is? Okay, I was a little bit unsure for a minute.
Well, I don't know. I just love that name so much. So I wanted to like maybe see if you like didn't know it. And I could say he's got a really cool nickname. And then,
Oh, yeah, if you would have said that, I definitely would have known. But
That is-
Entwistle, Twisty. And then Gail put on Twitter, for viewers that don't know, she accidentally wrote out Mackenzie Entwistly. And
Yes.
Entwistly, I think, is awesome. That should be the new name going forward. So
Because I'm used to calling him Twisty, right? So like the
Yeah.
Y kind of got stuck in there.
exactly. It's awesome. Okay, your last one. Which Blackhawks player currently has their own book club that they started back in 2019?
Kevin Lincoln.
Yes, it's Kevin Lincoln. For those that don't know, his book club is actually, you can find it on Facebook. It's in Finnish, so I'm not even going to try to pronounce what the name is, but it's translated to Lincoln's Reading Circle, which is really cool. And he offers really cool prizes for those in Finland in the reading club, like Blackhawk sweaters and stuff. The more you read, the more you get. And he's a really big advocate for reading, which is really awesome. I think it's so awesome. I love it. Love the idea. Love it.
I do too. I love to read, love to write.
Yes, me too. We should join it.
Write for the hockey writers. So check out our articles, all right, at the
Yeah.
and you can read them too.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
In the name of Kevin Lincoln.
Yes.
All right. Last topic, and of course, we cannot have a Blackhawks banter without the shootout round. So
Mhm.
the Blackhawks start a 3-game road trip this week where they face the Anaheim Ducks on Wednesday, the LA Kings on Thursday, and the Vegas Golden Knights on Saturday. So we're going to kind of have these questions be a little bit about the week to come. First question. The Blackhawks shut out the Ducks 3-0 on January 15th and then trounced them 8-3 on March 8th. They play them this Wednesday. Will they make it a sweep?
Yes, I do. I think they got a little worse after the trade deadline, and for some reason we do good against them. So yeah, I see a sweep.
I think so too. I think there's some positive vibes coming after 3 losses. So
Yes.
hopefully they can beat the Ducks. All right. Question number 2. On the other hand, the LA Kings are currently second place, I think, in the Pacific Division. And this is the first time that the Blackhawks will face them this season. They meet again in April a couple times. And now I want you to listen very carefully because it's a very important question. Will you still be awake to watch this game coming Thursday?
Yes, I will. I'm actually a night owl. Gail, you know this about me. I'm like more productive at like 11 o'clock at night than I am at like 3 in the afternoon. So yes, I will definitely be up.
Well, there's a game on Wednesday night as well, and I am going to do my very, very best and try to take naps and all that good fun stuff.
Get your caffeine, get the Starbucks going.
I don't know if I can guarantee you that this is going to happen, especially if right off the bat it doesn't look too good. But,
Yeah, exactly. Might have to make it an early bedtime.
yeah, you guys will have to let us know if you end up staying up for this game or not. All right, moving on to the Vegas Golden Knights, and this is shootout round question number 3. Vegas Golden Knights, Blackhawks beat them 2-1 on January 8th. They play them this Saturday again on the 27th. Second to last game of the season. So what is your series prediction for the Vegas Golden Knights?
I think they're going to win that game. For some reason, Vegas hasn't been doing very well lately, and maybe that will work to the Blackhawks' advantage. So I actually see a win there. So win both games.
Okay, so yeah, and then they play them again on the 27th. Do you think they can make a sweep of it?
I actually do, yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll be optimistic here.
I'm gonna have to disagree. I don't know. I think they're actually gonna lose the next 2 games. They beat them once. But,
You know what? I can't even argue with that because you're probably right. We can't even you can't. It's like impossible with this team because they can go either way.
Yeah. All right. Well, we know that wins and losses don't really matter at this point, which is kind of the point that we're making. But what is your win prediction for this week's game? So 3 games, how many wins?
2. I'll stay optimistic. You know what? Because we need something. This is painful. We need something. I'll go 2.
I think I'm going to go with 1. I'm going to pull out my inner negative Greg.
Yes. Yeah, she's channeling Greg. Greg would be so proud.
One win or 2 wins. We'll see. Now, hopefully, maybe there'll be 3 wins, and then we.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind.
Just to spite us. Yeah.
Okay. Question number 5. Let's move on to some individual things here. Alex DeBrincat currently leads the team with 34 goals. He hasn't scored in a while, but still has 34 goals. We talked about this in the past, but I'd like to hit it again. Do you think that he will hit 50 goals this season? And there's 19 more games to go, by the way.
I actually don't think so. I know he's on pace for 50, and that's what was said, but I'm going to say no. I think he'll be close, like maybe 45, but I don't think 50, actually.
I wish I could go against you here and say that I think he'll get 50, but I'm going to have to agree. I think that he's, like I said, he's kind of been in a bit of a slump, and now you have Kane and Strome. I can see him maybe getting more assists now.
Yeah.
As the year winds down. Of course, he'll still have some goals, but
right. Yeah.
About 50. Okay. 2 more questions, guys. Patrick Kane's assist on Seth Jones' goal on Saturday was his 50th of the 2020-21. This is the 8th NHL season that he now has 50 plus assists, puts him 3rd place all time of wingers in this category, which is pretty cool. So this is something that we'll keep an eye on for the rest of the season. 2 more assists. So right, that puts him at 52 assists right now. How many assists do you think he'll end up with?
Do you know what? I feel like he should have like over 70 if anyone on this team could do anything, but I'll go maybe like 67, maybe. That's probably way too high, but you know what? It's Patrick Kane.
Oh man, he's going at he's just a game. And
it's Patrick Kane. Anything's possible.
I think he'll go over 70. If he goes over 70, I'm gonna get a prize or something.
Oh, yes. I hope that happens. I really do.
Bonus question, since we're on Patrick Kane, do you think that Patrick Kane will be a member of the Blackhawks next season?
I'm going to say yes. I think maybe when his contract expires, it might be a different story, but I think he will write out his contract until free agency.
I think he's a lifer. I think he'll be here even after that.
Yeah.
We'll see if Patrick Kane is going to be a Blackhawks legacy for life.
Yes.
I thought that would be a good way to end things up. That is a wrap, people. Please join us next week because I think that we're going to have Colin back with us. I don't have the scheduled yet, but we're trying to work on getting one of our hockey writers photographers in to kind of tell us a little bit about what she does. I think that would be really, really, really exciting. So be sure to tune in and follow us. We hope you enjoyed this episode with Trade Talk. Don't forget, follow THW Bets on Twitter, and we will see you all next week.